Damon Gonzalez from Latin Box Sports. I'm here with Super Flyweight, Rivera, June Rivera. How you doing today, Luis?
Oh man, I'm doing good. I'm doing really good.
Awesome. We're here today to talk about a couple of things. Luis Rivera, how did you get into boxing at a young age? You're born and raised in Miami, Florida, and then you ventured to later on in your life here in Tampa. How'd you wind up into boxing, and when did it start for you?
Well, I started boxing because I was playing football, but I was always small for my size. So my dad, even though I was good at football, because, even though I was good at football, I was too small. I was like, in Miami, it goes by weight, not by age. So I was going against kids 110. I'm 11 years old, 10 years old, 54 pounds, So my dad was like, no, let's not do that. And plus, I was getting bullied in school. So that's what got me into that. And then ever since, I got with Ernesto, and then ever since then, just been a thing.
So you pretty much linked in the gym at a young age, around 11, 12 years old. When did the experience of the amateur fighting start coming? Because you had an extensive amateur career.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start talking about your amateur career and how many really great, wonderful wins you won, really in front of your family. So it was very impressive. It was a nice road that you went through, and let's talk about that. Let's cover that road and talk about your amateur career.
Oh yeah, amateur. The thing with amateur is that when I started, I never cut weight, so I fought eating and fighting at the same weight. So I was fighting kids that were, let's say, around 120, and I was 112 flat,
So they were bigger kids.
Yeah, so I've always fought kids bigger than me, and it's never been an issue for me. So I've always fought kids like that. I've won a bunch of state titles, I've been to a bunch of tournaments, I've been to a lot of international tournaments, but I've always been small. I started boxing when I was 12, but I've always been so small that I've gone to all these fights and all these tournaments, and I wouldn't have kids my weight, so I'd get walkovers and stuff, so yeah. I think if I would have fought the amount of times that I've gone to these fights, I would have 100 plus fights. Easy.
So I'll tell you what, after going through all of that and banging and scrapping and going through all these tremendous amateur fights, the burning desire came this year in early 2017 in July. You decided to put on the professional gloves and then fight professional. Walk through that and let's talk about that fight back in July, which you won by TKO impressively here in the Tampa area, home cooking.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing about me. I've always been, ever since I turned 16, I had this dream. And no one was going to stop me from reaching my dream. So I've always wanted to be a pro boxer, and I wanted to be the best, and I'm going to be the best. And I believe in that, truly. But, yeah, in the fight in July, it was pretty funny because, I had got my song, I had got everything ready, and, it was going to be fun, it was going to be amazing. And as soon as I seen the ring, Damon, I didn't hear nothing. I didn't see nobody. It was just straight tunnel vision. It was just kill mode after that. So
this sounds like you just pretty much went to the playground, to the block, because you were pretty much normal and used to it and very relaxed and what have you. Walk us through that fight in the first round, which you ended the fight.
Yeah, like I said, I was always preparing myself for this. So when it finally happened, I'm like, wow. So I was a little. When I first got in there, I was a little tight. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little tight because I prepared for this moment. And I've been waiting for this moment for so long, and a lot of stuff happened, and it didn't go through sometimes. So when I finally got in there, it was like, wow, I'm actually doing it. So then, once I started getting into it, and then once I got hit, it was kind of like a light switch. So then, after that, it was just I was in it,
Time to punch in the clock.
Time to get ready.
That's awesome. So you got through that, and it looks like you're returning to the ring soon. Let's talk about future fights and what's planned. Anything planned next for you right now at this time?
Bro, right now, I have real big trust with my coach and my father. So it's like, whatever they say, it goes. So, and I'm willing to fight anyone. I'm not afraid of anyone. The only person I fear is God, and I believe that 100%. But yeah, just whatever coach says, and if he says whatever goes, then yeah, most definitely.
You're a young guy, sparring, running, eating right. Talk about that as a young man which is now a professional boxer, what is your message to other young boxers today? How you feel, in your example, how they should conduct themselves coming into professional boxing?
Yeah, like with me, I don't do drugs and I don't drink alcohol. I don't do all of that. I don't do none of that stuff. It's never been for me, you know. Of course, I've known friends that have done that, but it's all about strong will, man. Like you just gotta like be a strong will. Don't do that stuff, you know. So my thing is, man, don't do drugs, man. It's just I seen people on it. It's not good, you know. And train 110%. There's always gonna be that. I've always put this in my head since I was 13, 14. There's always gonna be someone training harder than you. So you gotta be training harder than that person if you wanna be number one. And I'm gonna be number one, so I train hard, really hard.
Talk about your camp. Chemistry or controversy? Are things going well in your life, in your camp, when it's time to punch in the clock and you're with coach? Walk us through that relationship and how things are with you mentally preparing for your next fight.
Well, right now mentally I'm good to go because like I only got like a week left, so I'm already like imagining me being there. I'm already envisioning it. But yeah, me and my coach got a strong trust. You know, me and my coach, we get along very well, and like he's the only one that can get me to that point of it's time to go to war. You know, so yeah.
So what's a weekend like for June, for Luis Rivera? Do you like tuning in to HBO, watching fights? Do you get excited by watching pro fights on TV? Is that something that you do your homework and you study and it helps you work by seeing these fights?
Yeah, I watch. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna sit here and say I watch all the fights all the time because I don't. But I watch the good fighters. You know, the Lomachenkos, the Rigondeaux, the Anthony Joshua's, back then my favorite fighter used to be Nonito Donaire. So I used to every time I watch somebody fight, I pick something from that and I try to utilize it in my boxing. And it has a lot to do with my style. So yeah.
Filipino Flash is serious.
Yeah.
You know, I'll tell you what.
Talk
about a guy that at a point of his career would come at you and attack, but attack with just relentless will.
Yeah.
Just incredible fighter.
Yeah.
Which brings me in the Slip Punches show to the next question. Who's your favorite fighter today?
Favorite fighter today? That's a good question. I would have to say my favorite fighter right now would have to be. Damn, all the fighters. Whew. All the fighters.
You got Golovkin, Chocolatito. There's so many fighters out there, you know?
Yeah. I think Chocolito's really good. And Canelo to me is really good too. You know, but his last fight with Triple G, you know, he kind of saw his will there. So, I would have to say, dang.
So here's an important question. Do you daydream?
A lot.
Okay, well, here's something I'm going to ask you that's very interesting than the last question. Daydream. Daydream of somebody right now in boxing, out of all the fighters, and you know
right
the
now?
names right now that are fighting today. Just daydream. Open your eyes, the bell rings. Who would you would want to face?
Who would I want to face?
As a pro fighter, like, man, you know what? If there's somebody I would love to fight, or just somebody that's out there that's incredible, he's a great fighter, this is who in my dream fight I want to face.
Lomachenko. Definitely.
High tech. Wow. Why high tech?
Because I've always been the underdog my whole life. You know? So, and I've always, whenever I had to fight someone better than me, I've always had to step up another level, and I feel like if I fought Lomachenko, he'd get me to that extra point, definitely. So it'd be a great fight, and it'd be like a chess match, and there's nothing better than a thinking chess match. So it'd be cool.
So I'll tell you, as a boxer, and I'm sure there's something in Lomachenko's style and Lomachenko's behavior as a fighter, it just fires you up as a boxer.
Yeah, definitely. He's an awkward fighter, but he's very technical. You know, so I sometimes take some of his stuff too. I take little things that he does, and I'm like, wow, I could do that, and it'll work for me, you know. So
Fight goals: being a world champion one day, wearing that strap behind your waist. What are your dreams of that?
I dream about it almost every day. You know, I've been dreaming about it since I was 16, like I told you. Yeah, that'll be a surreal moment for me, definitely, and it'll come true one day. I know it will. But it'll just be all the hard work that I've done. That'll be a payoff for me, you know. And it doesn't stop there for me. I want more. I've always wanted more. I've always wanted to be more, like, you know.
How'd you get the nickname June?
I got the nickname Junebug because my dad's name is Louis, and so everybody in my family used to call me Junito. And then, you know, I'm Puerto Rican and Mexican, so my Puerto Rican side they call me Junito, and my Mexican side they call me Junie. And I don't know, it just kind of, and one day my cousin just said Junebug, and then ever since then it's just been a thing.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Luis Junebug Rivera, super flyweight from Tampa, Florida. How can the fans and the friends and everybody that follows slip punching boxing, how can everybody follow you in social media?
You can follow me on my Instagram, my Twitter, my Facebook. It's my Facebook is Luis Junebug Rivera. That's my full name, and then my Instagram is Junebug_305. Where I'm from, Miami, represent. You know, but yeah, and Twitter same thing. So yeah, it's Junebug really.
Latin Box Sports with Luis Rivera here at the Slip Punches Show. Thanks for tuning in. Killed it, son.
After that, it was quiet. I was like,
Killed it, son.
Yeah.